Okay, so this is the fun part. This is where we're going to create our shadows and our objects looking so 3D with all the lessons we've learned throughout this video series on shading techniques and pencil techniques. Now, what we've learned so far was the point stroke, the side stroke, the fill. We've learned about eraser marks. We've learned about lighting. We've learned about the different types of shade, gradient, and we also learned how to do a very, very smooth blend. Now, this is where your challenge comes in. We're going to start blending on these 4 items. This starts with the first one. This is the one which we know about, with the one which we've already done. But guys, practice makes perfect. So we're gonna go over it again. This time I'm gonna give it a different lighting side. So on the previous one we had the lighting on the left. I'm gonna give it the lighting this time on the right, just to have a bit of a variety. Okay, so my light is coming from the top. Okay, and I have this angle here. Now, in this case, you will realize that obviously if my light is coming from the top, then automatically my top part is going to have this light shade, the light tone on top. My darkest tone is the opposite side, so it is the facade of my cube. I'm gonna fill it all up. And now my mid-tone is going to be on this right-hand side. So I'm going to fill it up. Trying to not leave any white. And I'm gonna go over my box, making it neat. Okay, so this will leave me now with the shadow. Now the shadow for this will be directly opposite, right? So I'm just gonna go ahead, before I do the shadow, and clean my paper. That's a bit, my putty rubber, that's perfect. Okay, so if my shadow is from the top right hand side, this means that the shadow will go down there. So my shadow will look something like that, okay? I'm going to go ahead, make a super dark tone there, a super dark tone here, and then it gets lighter as I progress. Downwards. Okay, great. So next up is a cylinder. Now I have this ready drawn out for you guys. However, I would like to show you exactly how I constructed the cylinder with just a pencil and a ruler. So the first thing I did was I did a line. I'm gonna draw like a little dummy of it over here. let's make it 4 centimeters, okay? And I found the bottom, I made it, let's say 2 centimeters. So I put the middle line in the middle of the 2. So I have 1 in the middle, can you see that? Then I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing on top, because the top is equal as the bottom. So now I have an eye on the bottom and top. I'm gonna do like a little cross. So let's say I wanted 1 centimeter, so I'm gonna mark 0.5 and the 0.5 on the bottom, another 0 there, I mark the 1 there. Now I'm gonna create a semicircle on top, a semicircle on the bottom, joining the lines, another semicircle over there. Then I go ahead and I join the line on the sides, and then I just go ahead and rub off all lines that I don't need until I arrive with the cylinder. So let's go ahead and shade it out now, and let's pretend that the lighting is the same as the cube coming from this side. So I'm gonna throw my little light bulb there, okay, in the direction of the light. So in this case, my light is shining from the top right hand side corner, and that means that my darkest tone will be on the far left. Now, one thing to keep in mind when something that you shade is circular. So far, we've always talked about objects are flat, like a cube. This time we have a cylinder. A cylinder is circular, and it has a round finish. So for example, if you see this spray can, it is round, and already you can see that light shines on top of it, and there is this round feature, and you want to show that an object is round. That's very, very important. So how do you do that? First of all, unlike a flat object, I want to create my darkest tone not at the very edge, but actually a bit further inside my object. Why is that? When you have an object which is sitting on a flat surface, note, if it's sitting on a flat surface only, the light will reflect back from the flat surface and bounce back on your object. This will create a slightly light feature on the far hand side corner of your object. So let's put this practice into drawing. I'm going to explain this further as I apply this, so don't worry about it. So I'm going to go ahead and just draw a super dark line over here. Always keep in mind that your darkest line can be just done with a tip of the pencil. It's fine. Okay. Next, I'm going to shade. I'm going to go from dark to light, okay, smoothly. So same thing as I've done before. I'm going to try and use the side of my pencil. Okay, I'm going to hold my pencil like this, and I'm going to go ahead and press and go dark to light. It's okay if you go out of the line and you're applying less pressure, remember, as you go on to your lighter tone. So I'm gonna go ahead and just fix it a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna go and fix the top part and the bottom part. And get my putty rubber and rub off all the area where I went out of the line. Okay, so that's my shade. There, I think that's a bit Okay, great, I'm happy with it. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and shade this side by going dark to light, but not achieving the lightest tone. So I don't want to achieve this light tone here. I just want to achieve just till here, this slightly lighter tone. So I'm just gonna shade that out. Just make it go slightly lighter. I'm gonna make sure I don't leave any white at all. Okay, that's it. So this time I know that my top side of my cylinder is flat, okay, and it's also coming that, sorry, the lights are directly coming from the top side, which means that here is just going to be a light tone, very flat, everywhere same pressure, and you're done. So creating the shadow, same thing as the cube. The light is coming from the top right hand corner, so the shadow will be on the other side. I'm going to just do 2 lines coming from my sides where touching the table. Okay, and I'm just gonna create a little oval. Doesn't have to be perfect, okay, as long as it's opposite. And I'm gonna start by really pressing hard around my cylinder, and then it will start getting lighter and lighter as I go towards the edge of my shadow. Okay, so when I'm happy with my shadow, I'm gonna go on to now doing the cone. Now the cone is basically the same concept as my cylinder. It is practically the same, however, it's coming to a point. So the direction of my shade is going to shift a bit. I'm gonna explain it, I'm gonna explain how to do it very soon. First, I'm gonna explain to you how I actually got the shape by using a ruler and a pencil. I just did a straight line. Let's say I'm just gonna make it 5 centimeters, okay, to there. And let's say the base will be the 4, so I'm gonna put my 2 in the middle. Okay, can you see that? My 2 is in the middle of the line. You're gonna join the lines to create a triangle. Okay, now let's say I want the base to be a 0.05. Just gonna create a dot there, and then you create a semicircle, and you rub off all the lines that you don't need, and there you have it. You have a cone. So I'm gonna use the same lighting direction as these two. So I'm gonna draw my bulb, okay, shining at this direction. So the same thing applies for the cone as a cylinder, okay? The lighting will not touch exactly on the line, but my darkest point will be slightly onto this side, and it shifted a bit, okay? Now, when I shade from dark to light, keep in mind that this base is much wider than here. And if this side is lighter, this side has to be light. This tone has to match this tone. So imagine like the scale is going smaller. So what I like to do is I just keep this area to the very last, so I don't get confused. And I focus on the larger area. I go from dark to light. If you notice, I'm already moving much further away here than here. And I create that shade. I go back and forth, and I'm super happy with my result. Now, I'm going to continue this part because this part is tiny. So I'm just going to make this part a bit darker. I'm going to try and match the color of the shade. And there you go. You have your tip ready. So if you notice, this part is still lighter than there, okay? It's all about ratio. I'm going to get my putty rubber, clean it up. I've heard lots of teachers tell me, oh, you should never use a rubber. Don't use a rubber when you're drawing. Guys, that is so wrong. A rubber is there to be used. You will never do a perfect drawing if you're scared of making mistakes. Please do use a rubber. It's there for a reason. Don't worry about it. No one's gonna know anyway if you feel so, you know, protective of your rubber usage. I'm gonna go and shade the next part. All right, and my shading is done. So I'm gonna go ahead and do my shadow now. Same thing, same concept. The direction of the lighting is the opposite side of my shadow. I'm gonna do 2 lines where my object touches the table. And I'm gonna go ahead and just do kind of like a pointy looking shadow. And when it doesn't have to be perfect, guys, okay? As long as you have a shadow, it's fine. All right, and I'm gonna go ahead and make the base super dark. Okay, and at the same thing, I'm gonna go from dark to light. I like to do the general area first, and then just go ahead and fill that in. Keep going. Until you're happy. Okay, I think, oh wait, I went out of the line a bit more. We need to, okay. All right, so I think I'm happy with that. Next, we're gonna go on with the sphere. Now, the sphere is, in my opinion, the most challenging of all the 4 put together. Just because, so we've had a flat surface on the cube. We have a circular feature on the cylinder. This is also the same as a cylinder. It's circular but has a point. So you have to shade in kind of a ratio kind, because you have a wider base compared to a thinner surface area on top. Here, however, you have a whole circular object. It's not just, you know, a semicircle kind of picture, but it's sphere. It's all circular. I'm gonna explain that in detail. How you draw a circle without using a compass. Guys, I would always suggest not drawing your circles with a compass. The reason being is when you use a compass, the tip of your compass will puncture the middle of your circle, and it's super hard to shade on. It's super hard to fix. It will ruin your paper, and there's an easy way of drawing a circle, and it is like this. First, you draw, I call it the snowflake. So let's make a circle of 4 by 4. So I'm gonna mark 2. I'm gonna create a cross of 4 centimeters by 4 centimeters, making sure that my point is always on the 2. Mark on my ruler. Same thing here. I'm gonna do another cross. The 2 is in the middle. 2 is in the middle, 0 to 4. And I have my snowflake. Now from there, I am just going to bend the sides. This is gonna help me when I join the lines. So then I just curve join the lines easily. Make sure you just don't do a straight line, but make sure you curve your lines slightly. There you go, you have a perfect circle. So on my circle here, let's say that I'm going to use the same lighting techniques so that we don't get confused as the others. So my light is coming from here, top right hand corner. This means that my lightest shade, let's start with the lightest shade because that's the easiest, is gonna be somewhere here. Now, same thing as the cylinder, same thing as the cone. My light shade was literally touching the line. This time it is not, because of the same concept of the light that is reflecting. Here it is still round. We still have a shade coming through. So another tip is that the darkest shade now, of course, will not touch the tip of the circle, because same thing happens. The light will reflect, okay, from the light source to my object. And this means that my darkest line will be in a circular motion over there. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead, start shading it so that we don't get confused, and watch it, draw it again, draw it 100 times, oops, until you get it right. Okay, so I'm just gonna fix my pencil real quick. That's better. Okay. So I'm gonna really make this shade super dark. So I'm gonna start by going inwards, okay? I'll deal with the outwards later. So I'm gonna start by pressing a bit less. If you notice, I'm not shading in a straight line anymore. I'm literally just shading by moving my pencil around my subject. And the closer I get to the point of reference where I marked my light, it's gonna get lighter. Keep fixing it until you feel that it's done. So I'm gonna go ahead and darken this part over here. Okay, so I've reached my circle. Now I don't leave a harsh circle showing, so I'm just going to blend it out, and I'll fix it with my putty rubber later on. So I'm just gonna leave that for now like that. I'll fix that later, okay? So it's undone. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to shade the rest of my sphere. I'm not gonna make it too... Okay, so I think that's, yeah, I like it, good. So I'm gonna go over the outline where I think I went out of the line, fixing my paper. Your sphere is resting on the table, right? Okay, it's not a flat surface where it rests, like the cube has a flat surface, the cylinder has a flat surface, the cone has a flat surface. This sphere is literally resting on this little tiny point over there. So this means that your shadow is going to start there, okay, create a circular shadow if you like, and end again almost touching that same spot. Okay, so I'm just gonna fix it because I did too much lines. So let's go again. So this is where my sphere is touching the table. I'm going to do a line, okay, another line there, and I'm going to go ahead, because remember that the shadow obviously it's going behind the sphere, okay, that's why I'm not touching it directly, but I'm gonna go ahead and make it dark and coming to a light as I finish my sketch. Good, and my shadow is almost done. Just blending it, taking my time, and there you go. We have our shadow ready, and I'm just gonna fix it a bit more. Just feel like it needs a bit more volume there. Yeah, okay, I'm happy. Okay, so these are my final shading tips for you. However, I have a bonus tip, and this bonus tip is when you have a super shiny object. If your objects are matte, you leave them as they are. But if your objects are shiny, this is where this trick comes in. So first of all, I'm just gonna feel like that shadow needs a bit more of a point. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna get my putty rubber and I'm going to create, I'm gonna pinch the tip until I create like a little sharp point there, okay? And I'm gonna start off with the cylinder. So this only applies for objects that are circular, like these three objects. This will not apply much to the flat surface like a cube, because the light won't touch the object at a certain angle, but will just touch the surface as it is. So let's start with the cylinder. So when you have the light shining from the top right hand corner, I want to show that this part is super light. So I'm gonna go ahead and with my putty rubber, I'm going to create a line, okay, from top to bottom. Just gonna shade a little bit the bottom part, because since the light's coming from top, I don't want to make it look like, you know, I just want to put the focus on top. I'm also gonna make another line, but thinner and shorter than the other one. I want to create a kind of little circle there, show the roundness, and you can even go ahead and create kind of like a circular motion with your putty. I feel like I need to fix that, so if you need to fix that, just go in with your rubber, with your pencil again, sorry, and just fix it. It's that easy. There you go. Okay, so that's the cylinder. I just like to go ahead and do the top part as well. It gives it that extra little touch. Okay, good. Next, we're gonna go on to the cone. The cone is the same concept as the cylinder. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do a line going down. I don't want to touch the line completely on the bottom. Going ahead and add another line over there. I'm gonna create a contrast by just making a line going ahead from the bottom. Okay, maybe doing a little dot there. With my pencil, you can go ahead and fix your putty rubber There are many types of rubbers which you can use. I just prefer using the putty because it's easier for me, for how I'm trained as well. I think that's good. Just gonna add a little dot there, kind of pops it up. And with the sphere, same thing. I'm just gonna tap around that light source, and that's it basically. I mean, you can do some lines that will create and enhance your sphere a bit more. And I think that's good. So thank you everyone for joining me with this video series on shading and pencil techniques. And go ahead and see all the other videos I've created for you. And please, if you have managed to do this technique, I would love it if you just send me a photo and I could reach out to you guys. Comment in the comment section below so we can learn from each other and we can discuss as well for your improvement in your drawing techniques. Bye guys, see you in the next video.